Welcome to the Feria TechCast. We'll bring you all things science, engineering, technology, and innovation. Today we are joined by Jack Sorensen, a former mechanical engineer who lost 80 pounds after battling alcoholism, binge eating, and burnout. After getting laid off, he went all in on building Sorensen Fitness up from the ground. Today, he helps high-performing entrepreneurs and business owners transform their bodies and lives through sustainable health practices. When he's not scaling his coaching company, you'll find him drifting the car he built himself or guiding clients to become the version of themselves they never thought possible. So, Jack, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
All right, so let's start at the beginning. You
hmm
were a mechanical engineer in the automotive industry.
hmm
Can you walk us through the journey and how it all started? And what was the catalyst that made you pivot from building cars to building a health coaching company? I mean, I read the story from your profile and it was very, very inspiring. So I'd like you to share it with us.
Sure. Yeah, sure. So I'm a gearhead. I'm a car guy. So naturally, my dad growing up was like, you are going to be an engineer, period. That was just kind of the way it was. He's a traditional household. So more or less whatever he said, I was like, yes, sir, got it. So I kind of just gained this identity through my childhood, through high school, college, or just I'm going to be an engineer, period. That's just kind of what it was. And growing up prior to that, I was more of more in the creative world. So I was into music, drawing, big adrenaline junkie. That's kind of where the drifting comes from my race car. But like basically the second he told me you're gonna be an engineer, this is what you're gonna do, and then I was also very involved with sports, I kind of got rid of that identity of like what I was building on my own and just kind of took on almost in a way like his persona of like what I should be, more or less. And so I took that on all the way up until college. Obviously, studied mechanical engineering. I went to a technical college in Massachusetts, and then from there I shipped my whole life over to Michigan, the automotive capital of honestly the world, and worked in the self-driving car industry. So specifically with ADAS, which is advanced. What? My God, it's been a bit since I had to look it up prior to this. Advanced driver assistance systems. It's a fancy way to say self-driving cars. Mainly working with Chrysler products, which is also known as Stellantis nowadays. A lot more of the assistant like of vehicles where lane keep, different advanced cruise control, self-driving all around, emergency braking, all that jazz. So I just was doing everything. And honestly, like from when I was a kid to then, it felt like almost a dream job. Like I was literally testing vehicles full time. I was writing the code. I was helping writing the code. I was testing. It was just like the coolest thing ever. But very quickly, after I started to lose all the weight, I had to lose 80 pounds. I started seeing a shift where I realized like it wasn't actually what I was truly into. It was just kind of this identity that was given to me that I just got so used to. And then honestly, that question a lot of people have of like, what's that trajectory? Like, what do you want to do with your career? And a lot of people say, like, look to your higher ups. Do you want to be that? And that really got me thinking of like, do I want to actually be my manager or above that? And I saw, their health deteriorating. I saw just like, honestly, unfortunately, a lot of people were just not taking care of themselves. And I had these big aspirations. I was into real estate at this time. So I slowly started to kind of build my coaching more on the side of being an engineer. And I didn't think I was going to go all in when I did. But I worked for two different autonomous vehicles companies. And the second one I worked for was more of a startup environment, a little bit smaller. And it got acquired by a big tech company. I see it all over the news. And then I was laid off on a random Tuesday in 2023. So that's when I went full time. So it was kind of simmering. It all started from the beginning where it was kind of just like I said, kind of circling back, just was given identity, was like, I'm going to be a mechanical engineer. That was just the way I was. And then once I got into the real world and I started seeing the trajectory of my career and kind of how slow sometimes the growth was and man, dude, as much as I love cars, like I was in them 24/7, just working so much, only to just like once one sprint was done, just like the next one was ready to go, and I was getting very burnt. And so I was like, is this really what I want to do? And I slowly kind of realized that although I love cars, I built one through college. I have a race car. It's my passion, something I love to do. It's, helps me pass time. I'm not necessarily an engineer in that sense. Like, I don't see myself doing this long time, but I did. I mean, we could talk about it forever, but I did learn quite a bit in terms of systems engineering and the back end of stuff and making sure things are connected and stuff. But yeah, I guess that's the gist of it, my man. A little bit. I guess I've rambled on there.
Well,
But yeah,
well, well, like I said earlier, it's indeed an inspiring story, and I actually
yeah,
must say it's more interesting to actually hear you tell the story than it is to read it up by myself.
yeah,
So,
yeah. That's fair.
I I actually enjoyed that. So, moving
Yeah.
on, you lost 80 pounds. Uh,
Correct. Yeah.
I'd like to ask, for the engineers and data-driven people in our audience, what did your system for weight loss look like?
So initially, so I knew I grew up playing sports. Period. So like that's just all I knew. So I knew how to work hard. So initially, through trial and error, experimentation, I just worked really freaking hard and lost some weight, but then it came back on, right? So my mind was like, why is this not happening? I kind of dug into it a little bit deeper. Like, why is the weight just not coming off? Like, I'm working so hard, and then obviously it comes down to the food. And I was working hard in the gym, but then I was being sedentary the rest of my day, essentially. So you can't outwork kind of a broken lifestyle. You really can't. So once I kind of realized that my lifestyle was holding me back, I did go to extremes first. Once again, doing copious amounts of walking, running, doing 2 a days, just kind of going once again over the top because that's just what I knew. But it wasn't sustainable, right? And then when you start getting into a role where at times like you are working so much, it's just not sustainable. I'd be crashing burn. I was always tired, didn't want to hang out with friends. So it was like I was like suffering a little bit, like, oh, there's this, why is this so hard? And then slowly but surely kind of through just trial and error, finding a way that's truly like sustainable. My whole brand is all about being sustainable, making sure you can do this for a long period of time. Because if you can't do it forever, then what's the point, more or less? So that's honestly what it is like sometimes doing less is more, right? Doing less for a long period of time or inevitably is much more powerful, more effective than keeping your intensity super high for short periods of time and then falling off. And I think the engineering world, we glorify intensity quite a bit, where it's like you just work these crazy hours, whatever, and then you get that done. But then like the next thing, you create this crazy bar for yourself, for your team, and then all of a sudden you're trying to play catch up, and that's when burnout happens. That's what happened to me. It's when you just get so absurdly tired all the time. And so kind of translated a little bit is like I did that with my health. I realized this is not sustainable. So then I realized like what can I do on a week to week basis where it's like, okay, what's a manageable about a movement I can do? What's a manageable amount of food? What's a manageable amount of workouts? Like what can I actually handle? And being okay with that, like coming to terms that like, okay, it's not as much as like you see people online that like glorify the people that have 24/7. I was just like, I had to be mentally okay that, okay, this is what I can do. But inevitably, as long as I don't fall off, I'm going to get to where I want to go. And so kind of sticking to my guns, being patient, being consistent, making it easy to be consistent, having the correct mental systems and all that stuff to kind of keep you going. And eventually it does lead to where you want to go because then I didn't fall off, right? Because that's where I struggled the most at the beginning of my journey is just like on off, battling alcohol, battling binging, just like it was just this roller coaster. But once I really truly figured out what I could actually sustain, it was game over. Like I got to where I wanted to go, and then obviously and then some. Then the progress never really stops coming once you figure out a way just to make it part of you, right? So, yeah.
Amazing. So let's talk about Sorenson Fitness
Yeah, my
for a
business.
while.
Yeah,
So yeah. So your company's motto is to help clients attain and sustain their health. So I'd like to
correct.
ask, why is the sustain part so much harder than the attain part for most people?
I'd arguably say that Attain is more difficult because a lot of people attain it in the wrong way. So it starts with the Attain, and then it goes to sure the sustain. But like the issue that lies is the people attain it in the wrong ways, because what you do to achieve the results, what you do to achieve the body you want, the mental toughness, all that is also what you need to do to maintain it. Right. So a lot of people are looking for quick fixes. A lot of people are looking for that secret pill, the secret program, the diet hack. And things do work temporarily. Sure. Temporarily you can maintain some crazy amount of intensity, but eventually it does catch up. And so that's why they can't sustain it, because the way they attained it wasn't, forward thinking. It was just in the now. It's very transactional. I'm doing this just to lose weight, when they're not thinking bigger, when they're not thinking, okay, 3 years down the line, what do I want to be doing? Right. You kind of need to, in order to know what you're doing day to day, you need to know where you're going, setting the correct goals. So instead of just saying, I want to lose weight, it's like, okay, like I want to have more energy per day. I want to be confident in my own skin, right? Just getting a little bit more deeper, a little bit more holistic, which sounds, silly, but it's true. It's like kind of painting that picture of what you want your life wants to look like. Because if you want to be nickel and diming food, being on carnivore, whatever, and you're, kind of miserable on vacations, you're miserable honestly to be around with your family, like if you want that for yourself, then fine. But I doubt people do. So you need to stop going at your health initially when you start your journey that way. Right. So that's kind of where it comes around, is like what you do to get to where you want to go is what's required to also maintain that as well. So it's attain first the right way, and then you do that the right way. It's much more easy to sustain it and keep it around. Like I don't think what I do is very complicated or over the top by any means. I think it's very manageable for most people, right? And it's because I just simplified it and it's sustainable. I'm not going crazy. I still have pizza every freaking Friday if I want to. I still have sushi. Like I'm not putting these barriers on myself, right? So yeah.
Well, that's it's interesting. It actually makes a lot of sense. So,
Yeah.
moving on, I'd like to ask, what's the biggest mistake you see high performance and entrepreneurs make when they try to get healthy?
When they try to get healthy, like I said, I think it kind of goes to that attain thing, is they just know how to work hard. A lot of people know how to go hard really quickly, especially for high performers, engineers, sales folks, and entrepreneurs. It's like when they commit to something mentally, it's like, all right, I'm all in, right? They just know how to just like jump off the deep end and be all in. But the thing is that your lifestyle probably can't support that. So it's like a lot of people will have families or they'll have all these responsibilities. And then all of a sudden, one day they decide, I'm going to be a health nut. I want to get super into the gym 5 days a week, 6 days a week, a couple hours, super restrictive, right? Like not allowing themselves to enjoy themselves. And then it just crashes and burns months or maybe even a year down the line. So that's the number one thing, is you just go too hard. And my number one tip to people is like, do less, which is hard for a high performer and for an entrepreneur mentally, because they're so used to being so perfect, so good at things, so over the top, so like going hardcore. But it's like health is not that. Health is not a constant intensity game where it's like you can outwork everyone else. No, it's like, what can you actually keep up with? Because in reality, in 20 years, you're not going to remember that 1 year where you went over the top, crazy, whatever. But what will matter is that 1 year that you've built those healthy habits that you're still doing 20 years down the line, right? So that's the number one thing, is just going too hard and treating it like it's equal to everything else they got going on in their life, because it's completely different. It's completely different.
Fantastic. Jack, I like this line from your profile. It says, when he's not scaling his coaching company, you'll find him drifting the car he built himself. So, are there similarities between building a race car and building a healthy body?
Is there, okay, that's interesting. So to an extent, I would say there are, but there aren't at the same time. So let's go racing specifically, like drifting, is that when you start with the vehicle, the way to go about it is to slowly build up. So I guess this is the whole attain and sustain thing, is to slowly build up and progress with your car. So a lot of people, happens all the time, is they buy a car that's too much for them, right? Way too much horsepower, way too much just high crazy parts, a little bit what the people call overbuilt per se. And then right away, you kind of develop the wrong habits very quickly. And it's very hard to get out of them, especially in the drifting world. People will have these crazy cars out the gate. They might progress pretty quickly, right? Like just people with weight loss or whatever. Like they might make a lot of weight loss quickly, but then like they just develop these wrong habits that they're kind of like fighting for a long, long period of time. So like biggest tip, what I did is like slowly but surely, as you get better at driving, you're adding parts that can enhance your driving, right? Enhance the car, how it performs, how it basically responds to different inputs. Um, so it's like over the years, I mean, I've been driving since 2020. That's when I finished the car or really got it going and stuff. It's like it's a completely different car now, but that's because I'm kind of growing with the car. I'm not just throwing a bunch of money at it out the gate. I grew with it. So then now like I have the right habits in my driving where it's just like I'm not sloppy. I'm more smooth with my movements. It's a lot just a better of driving versus you can see someone that has a very overbuilt car out the gate and you can just see the tendencies of like what they probably shouldn't do in terms of just like cleanliness of driving, keeping the car in control, making it so it's responding properly, stuff like that. So that's a cool question. That's a really, really interesting question. Because it's like I don't really think of the parallels, but that is there are a lot, clearly. So that's cool.
Uh, are there any lessons from mechanical
Lessons.
engineering that you now apply to health coaching?
I think mainly in the systems, like in terms of like what I learned when I was in the automotive industry is simplicity and traceability and making it kind of easy and almost so simple it feels stupid type things. Because an overcomplicated system is just crashes and burns and makes everything a lot harder to do. So it's like when it go about in your health, it's like keep it simple. Stop being so complicated. Stop getting so lost in all the noise and just move your body more, right? In some way, weight train to put on healthy amounts of muscle, eat quality food, and just don't get crazy with all the over the top supplements and the perfect this and just thinking what rep range is better than others. So it's just simplicity 100% because in engineering and whatever, it's just like simplicity always wins in terms of just like longevity or whatever. Cause I dealt with some over complicated softwares when the automotive industry, like when I was working in the ADAS field, and it just was a nightmare, such a nightmare versus the simple systems were just like cakewalk, right? It's so easy, very easy to replicate, able to put it from car to car. Like I worked with Grand Cherokees, I worked with Wagoneers, I worked with the Ram 1500. Like I did a lot of different things. And it's like certain softwares that were more basic, obviously very repeatable. But then the things that once they got more advanced, which is understandable, but once they got more advanced, it was just a kind of a nightmare. So it's like, keep it simple, stupid. You know what I mean? That's the way to go.
All right, so many tech professionals often struggle with burnout and unhealthy habits. So I'd like to ask, what's the first small change you recommend that they make?
So very quickly, first thing I want everyone to get in is more in an adding mindset. So a lot of people very quickly get into a restrictive mindset where they just think they can't do this, they can't have this, they can't go out with their friends, they can't whatever. They put up walls. So like the first tip is literally one, think about adding. Now what I mean by adding is just like movement and quality food, right? More protein, right? So that's pretty much the quickest thing that you could apply tomorrow is like, all right, how do I bring more protein, more quality protein into each meal? Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. That is going to have a huge ROI on energy because stay more satiated. It keeps you more full. You're less likely to snack. So that's probably the quickest one, right? Fuel your body properly. You wonder why you're tired after your lunch. It's because you just ate a ton of carbs, you weren't eating quality stuff, you weren't eating protein, so then you're crashing and burning. But if you have protein throughout your day, you're more likely to have more energy, be more focused, and less likely to crash and burn. So that's like the number one thing. And the next is just try to move more in your day. Where engineers, unfortunately, is just most are stuck behind a desk. Period. If you're in design, doing SolidWorks or some sort of coding or whatever it may be, we're at our desk a lot. So it's like every opportunity you're able to go for a quick walk, during your breaks, don't just sit in your phone, go for a quick walk, right? At your lunch, instead of sitting on your phone or sitting and talking with everybody for 30 minutes after you finish eating, ask everybody to go for a quick walk. It helps you digest. It makes it so the slump doesn't happen after lunch. Like just simple stuff. And just try to move a little bit more. Because once again, this kind of goes into the overcomplication. Doing too much is that like with the engineers and high performers, the second I say move more, everyone's like, okay, 10K steps, got to hit it. Not true. It's like if you're at 2 or 3K, try to do a little bit more, just try to walk a little bit more. And that does do a lot. So keep it simple and apply those two things. You do it for a long enough time and you truly will notice differences. It's just how consistent can you be? That's up to you. But those two are pretty much the game changers. I didn't even mention weightlifting and stuff like, or even sleep. I'm just talking about just move more and eat more protein, and I guarantee you're going to see a difference. 100%. 100%.
Fantastic. So, your profile mentions that you have plans on bringing on a B2B offer to go
Yes,
back to your engineering roots, but with a different angle. So, I'd like
correct.
to ask, what does that look like, and how do you plan to take your health coaching back into the world you left?
I love that. That's a good one. So when I was an engineer at both companies I worked for, there were these health challenges. Not very good ones. Not very good ones. One, there would just be a PowerPoint or a PDF sent, and then it's a participation thing. You just click that you watched it, and most people just zoomed through it, didn't read up on it. And then there'd be these health challenges where who can spend the most time outside, and then people would strap their Apple Watches or whatever to their dogs and stuff, and just get the awards, and the awards were like a mug or a parking spot in front. And then we'd at the end of it, celebrate with a pizza party. So a lot of it was backwards. And it was nothing that was actually going to improve the workplace. It was more so treated like a joke, just a participation thing. And you could get like a $200 stipend or something from doing a couple things. And, it just was very transactional. It was nothing that like actually opened people's eyes and allowed them to have, a healthier lifestyle. So I want to go back in. So like my approach is very simple. It's very repeatable. It's, all systems oriented. I go through different phases. And I want to package it in a way that's very manageable, and do health challenges, but in a more cohesive, fun environment, making it so it's like people are not competing against each other. But like, hey, you get above this threshold, you're able to get get entered into a raffle and win some cool stuff, win $200 to a grocery store, like stuff that's actually going to be able to like be put to use, but lean into the healthier lifestyle type stuff. And then just the end of challenge, you have the opportunity to win real cool stuff like Apple Watches and these different things. And uh, most of the time, people do things when there's some kind of incentive involved, right? So it's like the unfortunate reality is that the completion rate of what I was included in back then was not very good, or people wouldn't do it at all. So it's like, how do I make sure that people actually participate, put some cool stuff in front of them, put the dog, a bone in front of the dog a little bit, and make it so they want to potentially participate. And then I make it seem, oh, this is much more attainable to have more energy during the day, right? Be able to perform better, all these different things. And I'm actually on a smaller scale. We're going to be putting this out to businesses very shortly, which is really exciting. But yeah, so plan to just kind of go back and package what I do, my really one-on-one, in a way that can be seen in a group setting. Make it enjoyable with action items, make it a little bit competitive, and just kind of really push for engagement within the office. And then that inherently will bring more energy, better workers, better collaboration, good, the whole nine. So, but yeah, that's kind of the game plan. I'm really excited. No one take my idea, please. But yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, if you could go back to give one piece of advice to Jack, the engineer who was just starting to struggle, tell us, what would it be?
Oh, man, loaded question. Loaded question. Um, I would say you're not crazy for feeling different. Um, because I think we feel, especially in the engineering world, that we need to everyone needs to be the same. I don't know. I stuck out like a sore thumb, quite a bit. Just different energy, different aspirations, and so I definitely was very hard on myself when I just was thinking a little bit differently. I was like, why am I not being like other people. I have this amazing engineering degree. I work so hard for this. Like, why am I not like that? And it's like, I think for me, like, it's just like saying, hey, dude, it's okay to be different. You don't have to go down the path that maybe that was written for you or, was given to you. You don't have to be, you know, the typical engineer. You could go a different way, whether that was a different route within engineering, or what I do now. I think that would have been very, very helpful because that first year out of college was definitely very difficult with a transition. One, I was alone. I didn't know anybody in Michigan. I kind of just moved on a whim to try to improve myself. Um, so it was just definitely very alone. Yeah, that would definitely be the one for sure.
Great. So, for someone in our audience who feels stuck in a career that doesn't really fulfill them, so what's the first small step you recommend them to take?
I would say first lean into yourself a bit. And find out what your skill sets are, what actually fuels your fire, and don't just like out of nowhere just jump ship. Build something up on the side that you do enjoy. Um, to just get a taste of it. So because it's obviously like, I mean, even if it's not even the entrepreneur world per se, but it's like if you have an interest in something else, just learn about it, indulge in it. You're not locked in. I think a lot of people get so caught up in like, I just need a job, I need a job. And I think we can't just like live to work, and a lot of people are just scared to lose the income. But I think the value, like the livelihood that you on the other side of you just like being open to other opportunities is so amazing. And especially at a young age, everyone's got an advantage is you have time on your side. You could flop on your face for 10 years and still be in your 30s. So just being open and not being so closed-minded, and just seek other opportunities or just knowledge. Don't stop learning. I think that's actually the number one. It's just don't stop learning. Don't turn the brain off the second you get out of college. Oh, I'm done, time to just like get on autopilot for the rest of my life. Like sure, you might need a break, but just don't stop learning, because you'll be surprised what you might be good at that might fuel your fire and fire you up a lot more than what you're doing day to day. And I've noticed that, like, I will gladly make less money. I mean, this is when I was building the business. I will gladly make less money doing something that fills my cup a little bit more, uh, just because it's just I feel way more fulfilled. You know, yeah,
Wow, that's a really, really wonderful you know, piece of advice there. So, I'd like to ask, what has been the most surprising lesson that you've learned about health since making it your full-time mission?
man, just the simplicity. I think everyone thinks they're so different. Now there are a lot of, people are different specifically in terms of like what works better, but at the end of the day, it is simple inputs and outputs. Um, and people, like I said, overcomplicate things. And so what surprised me the most is just how simple it actually is down to the root. It's just opening the eyes of the individual to see that from themselves, just because we're in 2025. There's more information than ever. There's more technology than ever. It should be the easiest ever to get in shape and take care of yourself, but it arguably seems like it's worse. We have analysis paralysis. We're just caught in the sea of information, and so many people are saying this is right, this is wrong, yada yada. So I think the biggest surprise for me as I was just slowly building my business is just like how truly, as I repeat this with different clients and getting clients results, it's like at the end of the day, it's the same. It's more or less the same formula. It looks slightly different per individual because everyone's brain chemistry is different. It's like what actually gets through to the person. But at the end of the day, it is a similar formula that you just slowly but surely build up on and get better at. So I'd probably say, yeah, just it's way more simple than I originally thought. Because like it's just like anything, when you get yourself into things, it's just like there's so much, once again, sea of information. So when I was learning, I'm like, oh, it's so complicated. There's just all these different things happen, yada yada. But like in reality, it's like it's literally thermodynamics. It's like how much calories are you taking in, how many taking out, how much are you moving. It's like literally to the T, just pure numbers. Um, and it's like if something's not working, large chance a number is off. A variable is throwing it off, and we need to kind of attack that head on, right? That's it. Like, so it's like, how do we limit the amount of variables in your day to day? How do we make it super easy to be consistent? So then, like, all we got to do is, okay, we want to pull one variable, one lever, and all of a sudden change starts happening, right? It's just like, how do I show it? So, yeah, there's the answer. I could ramble forever, as you can tell. So, yeah.
Great, great. I think you've already done enough justice to the question, Jack. So,
Yeah.
so okay, moving on. I'd like to let you know that a part of the theme of this podcast is centered around innovation. So for that
Correct. Yeah.
reason, there is a common question that I'd like to ask
Mhm.
all the guests I interview here before we wrap up this session. So, tell us, Jack, what does innovation mean to you, and how does it relate to your line of work, your field, in the context of personal development and health coaching? Basically, I like to just hear the meaning of the word from the way you
Man.
see it.
Yeah. I mean, so for me, innovation is taking something that maybe is already out and about, very common, and putting your own spin on it that might actually have a different outcome or a better like repeatability, right? Better repeatability over time, or I would say probably lean towards that, right? So for example, health coaching. Everyone, there's so many health coaches out there. Be a bit, so many, right? So like my type of health coaching, the way I do one-on-one, is very innovative in the fact that when I tell people how like the accountability is so much higher than these other programs, they're like, holy crap, I understand why you could charge that much, or like just I get such consistent results. I pump out results at an insane rate because just people are able to basically stick to things for the first time ever. A lot of people, or let's say a lot of programs, are very self motivated. Okay. You're given something, you have a coach in your corner, they might help you here and there, but you might contact them once a week, and it's more about self motivation. I am a little bird in someone's ear constantly. I am truly in someone's corner with the systems I have in place. I've allowed it so that like it's like peak accountability, right? I'm almost like an accountability partner slash best friend slash therapist slash health coach. Like, it does the whole thing, right? I'm constantly basically in that person's ear, and it keeps them showing up. That is like the number one feedback I get from every single client, is that the accountability is top notch. So that's what I would say is the most innovative, is that like it's just finding something that everyone might be doing and then putting a spin on it that like clearly might give the product the edge or an edge, right? Same thing with what I do, is that a lot of coaches out there are very like weight loss coach. I'm going to help you lose weight. I'm going to lose weight, which is cool. But I'm all about sustainability, where we're going to lose weight, we're going to get to your goals, but I want to make sure you can maintain this long term. And so that angle gives, although it might be harder sold for some people to picture it, it's something that's a lot more impact focused, that like the goal at the end of my coaching is that someone doesn't need me anymore, right? That's the point. So it's like when they're done with me, they're good to go. And so that's why I think, once again, the program is very innovative, because it's like, it's not just about weight loss. It's the education. It's like the mindset behind actually sticking to it, not just all the hustle of just show up, bro. Come on. No, it's more than that, right? It's like getting to the root issues, getting to what caused you to fall off in the past, and then what do we need in the future to become the healthier version of you, right? What systems we need to put in, what mental things do we need to work through? So that's innovative to me, and that's what's innovation, what is innovative within my business. Fini, I would say that's it.
Fantastic, fantastic. So,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
finally,
yeah.
Jack, tell us, for our listeners who are inspired by your story and want to
Mhm.
follow your journey or learn more about Sorenson Fitness. So,
Mhm.
tell us, what's the best place for them to connect with you
I'd
or
probably just say
online?
Instagram. Yeah, I would just say Instagram. So my Instagram is at Sorenson Fit. So SORENSON Fit. Super easy. You can get access to all of my links in there to book a call if you want to just chat. I'm always down to just give free advice. My whole business has been built off of literally just free value over and over again, getting on calls with people, just helping. So if you ever just need to work through something, book a call. There's a you book and call link in my my Instagram profile and my links. And obviously, if you want to look more into the program, just feel free to check out my website. That's also on my Instagram, but it's literally sorensonfitness.com. Super easy. But yeah, that's just shoot me a message and let me know that you came from here. That'd be pretty dang cool. That'd be awesome.
Wonderful, wonderful. Jack, it's been a really great conversation with you today, and I am excited to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.